A simple, authentic environmental story. I think the environmental impact of using residual agricultural waste resonates. It's not so complex that you need a decoding ring to understand it. And I think in that way, it appeals to consumers who increasingly have a concern about environmental sustainability, but want to know that their products do that in the most meaningful, substantial way.
The reason that we chose to pursue the hemp fiber is that we'd had repeated inquiries over the last couple of years looking for alternative fibers, and actually hemp specifically has been requested several times. And as Mohawk approached me with their development, was already familiar with their quality and their sustainability story, and so decided to take a look at the paper. And as you just noted, really beautiful product. And so I think the attraction is still there because it is as Chris noted, it's a sustainable product that you can see the authenticity of. And in some of our discussions, he's repeatedly laughed at me. I call it very earthy looking. But then just set all of that aside and just looking for sustainable solutions that will perform, then this renewal line, whether it be the hemp, which we're leading with, or the cotton, which we offer as more of a custom solution at this point, but it's also a truly beautiful sheet. If we're looking for sustainability stories that are easy to see and easy to understand, then I think these offer a great solution.
We start to work with our customer in order to find some new solution in terms of raw materials, and I think that this was the first right step. Now also we are evaluating with our suppliers and with our partners some other eco-sustainability solution like inks and foil also are working or on their internal process in order to reduce the waste and in order to find some alternatives in order to recycle it in a different way the liner after the foil application. Some other suppliers are working on the printable metallic ink like alternative on standard foil, but at the moment we don't have any special news. The main topic is try to reduce the impact or try to use, in the case of ink, try to use bio-based water-based ink instead of the traditional one.
But I think what consumers are going to begin to look for is a little beyond FSC certification, recycled fiber content. Those are certainly important and legitimate, but sometimes that's just a little tiny symbol on a label. And so I think, and to echo what Chris said earlier, the authentic look and feel to sustainability is something that will appeal to consumers. But consumers need to start driving brand owners, frankly, who will then drive Favio, and Favio will drive me, and I'll drive Chris to do more and more. So far, there's lots of conversation in the Americas. I'll speak to the US in particular, but there's not a lot of call to action yet. There's a lot of interest, and that's why I'm really excited to be in this partnership with Mohawk, because we have something that hopefully will elicit more interest and actually begin to pull into action.
You know, our exploration of alternative fibers really began in a fairly narrow fashion, looking for hemp fiber specifically, and we quickly expanded our view of the world as we became aware of some very interesting alternative fiber sources. And you know, as a company with a long history of trying to get ahead of the next environmental wave, right? In this case, environmental sustainability. These fibers feel truly sustainable. So to answer your question directly, hemp fiber, the hurd, the stalks that are left when the flower is picked and the CBD is extracted, right, for CBD products, would have just been waste that would have been tilled under, maybe burned, but it would have been not very useful. It could have been ground up for animal bedding, right? But this is a much more dynamic use where you're using every bit of the plant. And what's important is these are very rapidly growing plants. In as short as 90 days, a hemp crop can be mature and harvested. So that's a truly sustainable fiber source. Or it would have been tilled under, which introduces some pretty significant erosion issues. So by taking that residual waste, we're mitigating an environmental issue, and you might say two environmental issues. So, right, so we're basically using rapidly renewable fibers, rapidly growing plants, and using every bit of them by taking the residual waste for paper making.
I think that the tool that we developed in Eurostampa can help us and also our customer in order to find every day the less impact carbon footprint solution. And also we are trying to extend this kind of study and involve on the initial brainstorming also other suppliers like glass suppliers and caps suppliers in order to create a full packaging view and not talk only about label, but also try to enlarge the global scope of eco design aspect.
Yes, we use a tool at Raflatac called life cycle analysis, where we compare a new product to maybe a standard product that's already existing in a market space, and we measure CO2 emissions, water usage, power usage, and try to estimate savings that would be generated by going from material A to material B. And that's something that we look at anytime we're developing something new. And as we're having conversations with a customer who's looking for something that's maybe not purely defined, we can still work towards making estimates along those lines. Even though the paper may not be fully defined as we're working on it, we can find something that's similar and give them some comparisons so they're making choices that benefit the environment as they're doing something new. It's a really interesting little format that we've developed. It not only gives you numbers, but it actually gives some real world comparisons. So in terms of carbon emissions, it might show how many transatlantic flights that's equivalent to in a year's time, or how many hours you have your lights on in your home, or how many toilet flushes or showers in your home. It's a very real world sort of tool.
Transparency and simplicity, and the kinds of things that brand owners, I think, are looking that are easy to understand at the shelf, right? Like this thing I'm holding, whether it's a box or a label or both, was made from something that was a plant in the ground 6 months ago.